What's going on, everybody?
Welcome to Hood Healing. Did you miss us?
It's all silent.
Well, I failed to realize that I was going to be on vacation and completely jet lagged. So we kind of are late on this episode, but better late than never, right?
I know, I got asked, don't you guys post on Wednesdays? And I was like, we're kind of all over the place right now.
I know. We're like, let's do weekly. And then we're like, we're busy. But we're still committed to healing.
That's correct. Always.
So today we're going to talk about a time. I mean, we're coming up on the holidays, and we had one of our loyal listeners really ask about that, like how we're dealing with the holidays amidst some of our own family issues. And I think that that's such a great topic. And especially because holidays are coming up, there's probably a lot of folks out there who struggle with this. So I think it's very, very timely. So I want to thank our loyal listener.
Will not say her name.
Okay. Who shall rename?
She'll know who she is, though.
Remain nameless, because we don't want to bring up any family issues for her when she has to go see her family. But yeah. So anyhow, let's get into it.
All right. I mean, I'll admit that I think last year was probably the hardest for me. As we were just talking a bit ago, I think Christmas was really, really hard for me because things weren't okay with my family already. I wasn't okay with some of my siblings. So it's tradition to go to my grandma's house every Christmas Eve. So showing up on Christmas Eve with gifts for my nieces and stuff like that. It's like I was feeling like this knot in my stomach. You know what I mean? Like, how is my family going to act? Are they going to say hi to me, or are they going to ignore me? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was pretty hard for me. Like the drive there, I was trying to be strong, and my wife actually prepared me for it. She said, however anybody acts, like, remember, like, you're okay, you're fine, and she was kind of like, she was kind of hoping I wouldn't go, because like any other partner, you don't like to see your partner hurt. You know what I mean? So I drove out there with my niece. And when I got to my grandma's house, sure enough, like, it was just kind of awkward, being around my siblings, my sisters, of course, always welcome me, pretty well, like hugs and stuff like that. But my brothers is a different story. So, and sure enough, being there kind of sucked, because seeing how we're disconnected, you know what I mean? And how different things are now. Like, things are not the same. The bond we used to have wasn't there anymore, So leaving my grandma's kind of got me down. Like, I felt like shit, because it was like, you can tell the difference between their relationship and the relationship that I have with them. So it kind of sucked. And it's crazy because I didn't even have to like say anything. As soon as I walked in the house, like, my wife knew already. Like, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it sucked because my niece went with me, and on our drive home, she asked me if I was okay, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "You don't look fine." She's like, "I can see it in your eyes that you're not okay." So even my brother-in-law, like, he even saw it. Like, he was like, "You're not okay. Like, I can see it, And I was like, No, I'm fine. But it really sucked, because it's like, you grow up with these people, and like, you want to have that love and share that connection, you know what I'm saying? And as you get older and you got your differences, like, it's different, But once I got to my house, and my wife's family was there, like, right away, like, hugs left and right, they always showed me love, never failed. Her Arizona family was out here. So, I felt a lot better once I got home. And, but yeah, it's hard because, you love these people so much, and they make you feel a certain type of way. And it sucks, because you don't expect that from family. You expect that from strangers, Mm-hmm. But the question was asked last night. Me and my wife were talking, and she asked me too, which is weird because of the topic that was asked for us to talk about today, But she asked me, like, holidays are around the corner. What's the plan for us? Like, are we going to go to your grandma's this year or not? And I think going to therapy, at my therapy sessions, since I'm not working right now, are every other week. And I really, really think that has helped me a lot, because thinking about the holidays doesn't have me feeling the way I felt last year. Like that knot in my stomach.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Tension.
Things are not okay with. Things are still not okay with my pot. Like, I think they're worse this year for me and my dad. And before I used to be scared to go around him. Like, is he gonna say hi to me? Is he gonna acknowledge me today? And this time I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a shit. And I think a lot of it has to do with therapy. Therapy has helped me a lot, and I think I'm gonna be okay this year. So I told her, yeah, I want to go spend time with my family for a little bit. We always spend time with her family first, and then end up at my grandma's house. So yeah, I think for me, therapy has helped me. Talking about how my family makes me feel has helped me a lot too. I don't know you guys. I don't know how you guys are gonna, or what's your plan for you guys? Because I know you guys are going through some stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be with my family. So my family, Thanksgiving we'll spend with my family, of course, and then my extended family hopefully will be here for Christmas, and which is always nice. So last year we ended up going to Arizona, and things were starting to kind of break down a little bit before that. So it kind of ended up being a good thing, and it was just really nice, I think, to get to a place where we both felt wanted. I think that was the hardest part of spending the holidays with my in-laws. It was like I always felt like there was a lot of passive aggressive, stuff thrown my way, especially the last Christmas that we spent with them. I'm not sure what was going on there, but it was very strange. We came in and basically just like we're given the cold shoulder, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? And so basically, I remember that Christmas Eve, like literally going in the bathroom and crying, like, I don't want to be here. Like, I can feel the energy and the vibes are definitely off. And if you have ADHD, you always know what the vibes are off.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not good. And I remember telling Frank, like, I literally want to just leave and let you stay here and do what you're going to do with your family. But I just feel so awful. And even my own child was like, I don't want to be here. And, I think that was always the hardest part, because I felt like, especially at Christmas time, it was like this thing where, competition with the gifts. It was so weird. Like, to me, we're not a big gift family. Like, we're not, I'm not like, I'm going to buy my child like the most expensive. We've never been like that. I've never been like, I'm going to buy my child like name brand stuff. Like, my kid, I mean, I buy my kid stuff that he wants, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you can have one gift that's like an expensive gift, not too crazy. But I'm going to buy things that you need, like clothes and stuff and books. But we've never been like someone that's like, oh, well, what's the new toy? We've never been like that with him. And, especially like, with clothes, my child loves a thrift store and I'm like all for it. But, I think for us, it was more just like being together, and which I understand where like that mentality comes from when you want to give your kids like all this material stuff, especially if you've grown up in poverty. Like, the ultimate goal of getting out of poverty is obtaining like these material things. I totally get it. Like, I obviously we grew up, poor, but I think I've just gotten to a place where it's like, I would rather have good mental health because no matter what, you can have like the nicest stuff and still be miserable as fuck.
Yeah. Last time I was on Instagram, and there was this guy asking people out on the streets, like, do you think you're rich? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was literally going around asking people, like, do you think you're rich? And hearing a lot of the people's answers were like, you have all these people trying to, I don't know if it's because it was being recorded, but you have these people wanting obviously the viewers to think or whatever that they're rich. You know what I'm saying? to me, if someone were to ask me if I think I'm rich, I would say yes, because I have a house over my head, I have a beautiful wife, I have food on my table, and I have a blessing that's on its way. To me, that makes me rich. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff.
I can't believe you forgot about your dogs.
No, you know that. That's true. So
I'm going to tell them.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people, like you just said right now, like there's a lot of people who want to be all about materials. You know what I'm saying? Like you give me some damn jeans, some Van shoes and a flannel and I'm solid with my hat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? But it was funny because you're watching these people on the streets, like not even knowing who the viewers are. And they're like, yeah, I got this much money in the bank. I got this. I got blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And it's like the guy in the end said, that's not what I meant. What I meant was what makes you rich.
Do you feel fulfilled in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like, that's the thing is, you know, you can have all these material things, but at the end of the day, like, are you really happy and fulfilled? Yeah. And, you know, are you really having the kind of relationships, you know, that are healthy, that are healthy and sustainable, you know, because I think that that's the other thing. Like, while y'all over here opening 30 gifts, but your relationship is to shit. And, you know, I think, and that's the other thing, like, especially when people are like, oh, you have such a great family. Well, what does that exactly mean? And honestly, I feel like the holidays are a time where that is definitely put to the test, because I think there's so much, like commercialization, that's the word, around the holidays. So it's like buy, consume. And what ends up happening is then we get into this place where it's like, well, everything has to be perfect, right? We have to have the perfect food. We have to have the perfect gifts or the decor or whatever. But meanwhile, people can't even sit in the same fucking room together because the relationship is so strained. And, you know, my own family, holidays are very stressful for me. It's very triggering for me because I, you know, don't always enjoy being around my family. No tea, no shade. But we know how to push each other's buttons. It's pretty easy to do it. I think I'm just getting to the age where it's like, I want peace, not problems.
Yeah.
And I think that is definitely something that, you know, I hope, you know, we can get to. I think for me, my mode of survival of the holidays is like, keep it cute, meaning like, even, you know, I think before I was always like, if I heard something that was not okay with me, my boundaries were like an electric fence. Like, fuck that. You're not going to say that to me, or you're not going to talk to me like that. Now I'm just like, well, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you, boo. I'm not going to fight with you about it. There's no sense in that. I know who I am. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's like, oh, one of the issues that I have sometimes with my family is they'll say like, oh, well, this is who you are and this is how you act. And it's like, you really don't know me anymore. Like, you don't know the kind of work I've done on myself. We don't even spend enough time around each other for you to really, truly know who I am. And so for you to make an assumption about that, you know, like, that's not okay. I mean, obviously there's things about me that haven't changed, but you know, like my love for cats, but you know, but at the same time, it's like, when it comes to the holidays, I'm just like, I'm going to have fun and enjoy myself in the moment and not start, you know, nitpicking people's behavior and like how they're offending me. And I just refuse to do that anymore, because it literally sucks the joy out of the interactions. You know, it's like, I can't control how you act. I can't control what you're saying or what comes out of your mouth. I can just control myself, and I can take in what you're saying or not. And a lot of times, you know, and I really try to balance that with like trying not to completely dissociate myself, because I do that sometimes where I'm like, peace, I will literally be emotionally removing myself from this situation and just like literally space out, because, you know, sometimes that's just how I'd be dealing. But I think I have gotten to a place where I've learned how to be around um, my family for things like holidays, but I also know when it's time for me to leave. Like I'm like, all right, I'm done. This is as much energy as I can give. Now I'm
Yeah.
about to peace out.
Yeah, because the question that was asked from the friend was, how are you gonna how are you gonna come around your family when you guys have those issues going on? You know what I mean? Or have you solved the issues? And it's like I said, therapy has helped me a lot, and I think one of the things that I'm really good at now is letting someone know how they made me feel. You know what I'm saying? Like before, I used to brush it off or just swallow it and say, you know what, I'm just gonna let it go. I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight. Like I don't like that. It hurts me to fight. Be fighting with someone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and swallow what you said, how you made me feel. And now it's like I'm gonna tell you how it is. You know what I'm saying? If you hurt me, if you piss me off, I'm gonna let you know what's going on. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what I've been doing lately. I've been letting people know, like, if something bothered me, I'm gonna call you out on it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna let you know what's up. So how am I gonna be okay coming around my family? I'm at peace. You know what I'm saying? Like I've told people how they made me feel. I've told people, what upset me, what hurt me, and if they couldn't see my point of view, then that's on them. I'm going to my grandma's house with a clear mind and a pure heart. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna go see my grandma, go see the family members that I am okay with, and not be rude. Be respectful. And that friend said I'm not okay with some of my I don't wanna,
her people's,
yeah, I'm not
her
okay
people's.
with my people. You know what I'm saying? So what is your advice to me? I told her, as long as you know that you did nothing wrong, as long as you know that you're at peace after you told people how they made you feel, just walk in there and be okay. And like you said, be there till you feel like be there, spend time with your family, and once you start feeling like your fucking blood is boiling,
the
then
vibes are off. I'm out.
hey, buenas noches. See you guys later. I'm taking my gifts and then bounce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's easy. You know what I mean? Like now for me, it's easy at least. Like
Yeah.
I was telling Susie the other day, like I've grown so much, and I had lunch with my friend the other day, and we were just talking about life, and I was telling her like I feel like I've grown so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I've grown so much. Like um, I used to be a pussy back then because I used to cry a lot when it came to me fighting my family or a friend or something like that. And now I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? Because now I speak up. Like I've learned to speak up, and I owe it all to the homie Larry, my therapist.
Well, and I think too, you have learned other ways to express like those feelings, but also you've been able to process like the grief of not having those relationships that you
Yeah.
wish you had. Um and it's great. It's great to see that, you're not allowing those interactions to take away the joy of your life, because I think that that's hopefully what healing does is like, yes, the pain and trauma has happened, but on the other end of that, it's like, but we want to be able to continue to live our lives with joy and not feel like that's so raw that we can't. And it's hard. I think that, for me, I definitely think that if people are in a space where they don't feel welcome or comfortable, don't feel obligated to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hard, especially when you think about Mexican families or like Latin families. Like, you feel like you're obligated because they're your biological family. Well, nobody is really obligated to anybody,
Well,
which is very culturally, it goes against what we're taught.
I think that's where Susie has been for a couple years already. Like she stopped coming around like for holidays. Like I would go by myself. And yeah, it would upset me, like it would start like a little argument between us because I was like, well, why can't you just go? Like, you know, just be there for a little bit, blah blah blah. And now I understand her reasoning to not wanting to go. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, she tells me, like, I don't like to see your family put you to the side. And that hurts me because I know how much you love your family. You know what I'm saying? She's like, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the look on your face when they make you feel some type of way. And I told her, I don't even make faces. She's like, you don't see it because it's you. You know what I'm saying? I see it. She's like, so I rather substitute myself from having to see all that in that situation. She's like, and I rather just wait for you at home. So now I'm okay with her staying home. You know what I'm saying? Like, but before it would start an argument.
Yeah. And I think too, like when you feel like I think the hard part is that the relationship that people wish they had with you, they may start to say like, well, I don't have that relationship because this person's involved and this person's involved and this person's involved.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of taking responsibility and saying like, well, what am I doing on my end that I don't have that relationship with my sibling or my child like I wish I did, but they have that relationship with somebody else. And then what ends up happening is they take that out on those people.
Yeah, they do.
And so I think part of it is there is this like mindset that I see kind of like reoccurring in a lot of families, not just this one, where it's like only one person can have that close relationship with one person, but that's not true. Like,
but I think that's the way we grew up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I honestly, like, I think in our family, because we're such a big family and we used to do everything together. Like, I remember when I was little, like all the aunts, what is it? 5 sisters, 7 sisters, 7.
There's 7.
7 sisters. We've always done everything together. Like, I remember going to the park for Easter, like, going to Lita's house, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like you grow up with it in your head that these are the people you ride for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these are the people you ride for. These are the people you're going to be there for. These are the people that matter. No one else, no one from the outside. You know what I'm saying? So as you become an adult, you start opening your eyes and realizing there's more to just this family. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't like that because their mentality is so stuck.
Yeah. In
that little, it's just us and only us.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people in our family, because we're big, there's 7 sisters. I know a lot of people in our family who have told me that before, like, it's us against them. No,
Yeah.
it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't even talk to that person anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, at all, no contact with that person anymore. And it's not us against them, because look at me and you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't talk anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, so blood is thicker than water, but I mean, there's more to just that family. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I mean, I think that there are people who have an issue with us like being so close as we are, because we are not related to each other by blood. I mean, obviously by marriage we are, but I think it just speaks to like this mentality of like, you can only have this close relationship with either biological related people or like one person, and that's it. And I think that's something that, like Frank has experienced, for example, just being married to me, it was like, oh God, here's this person who is like very different from us, has different philosophy. So everything I do, everything how I am, everything is like either they hate it or everything to them seems very disrespectful. But it's like, well, I come from a different family culture. It's different. I have parents that are, first generation Americanized parents. So my relationship with my parents, how I talk to my parents is very different. How I interact with my family is very different. What I tolerate is very different. Like, I ain't about to be played by anybody, and that's just me, because I had a mom who taught me people need to be respectful.
Yeah.
And that is different than how your family is, and I'm sure that that's rubbed people the wrong way. However, what I'm going to say is I'm never going to change or apologize for that, because that's me. And as much as, when I'm in certain spaces, I'm respectful of that. But I think when people demand that from you all the time, even in spaces that they're not in, that's not fair. Number one. And number two it's like if we're never open to having new experiences or new cultural experiences or experience new people, we're always going to be in the same place. And if we never can open ourselves up to the idea that we can like love multiple people, care about multiple people, have relationships with, and I mean, not those kind of relationships, but relationships like, friendships and things like that with other people outside of our family, then we're never going to evolve as people. Because I think if you learn things from other people, it's just such an amazing thing. I think it's, because Frank and I have had many conversations around this because, he's always told me like my best friends were my cousins. Like,
Same. I was going to say that. I was literally about to say that. Like,
girl, we be psychic.
No, like, I swear, like, I was about to say that. Like, growing up, my best friends were my cousins. You know what I'm saying? And out of those cousins, I'm probably still close to one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the other ones that I was really close to, like, we're not even close anymore. Like, we don't even text anymore. Like, we don't, nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks because your whole life, like, these are my best friends. These are my best friends. Out of those best friends, only one has literally stuck around. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and the phone works both ways. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, there comes a point where you feel like it's not worth anymore. It's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I always say this, and I always say, a lot of my friends to me are like family. You know what I'm saying? Because after a while, when those best friends stop coming around and stop being there for you, friends fill that void. You know what I'm saying? And Frank's absolutely right. Like growing up, me too. My cousins were my best friends, and like I said, now only one of them is standing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Because I do miss those best friends that I had before. You know, but I mean, it's also a part of life. Like you grow up, you become
life changes.
parents, life changes. You know, everybody goes their separate way. But it just sucks that, you know, your whole life you thought you guys were really close and you guys would always have that bond regardless of whether you grew, like, you know, you guys grew apart or whatever. But I mean, it's part of life and it sucks.
Well, you know, we grew up because my dad was in the Army. They moved away from their family. And so we were really like on our own. So we had to really make friends like with people. And so, you know, I was able to have all these different experiences, you know, like be like going on vacation with my white friends.
What the fuck?
Their parents taking me on vacation. You know, but like learn all these different things like from my other friends. Like I had friends that were Filipino and I had friends that were, you know, friends that were just different cultures, and just being able to experience that was like, I think so exciting for me, you know, and I think it also taught me a skill of just how do you create relationships with people. And, you know, when we were on vacation, Frank was saying like, yeah, if you get talking to Lydia, she's going to have you reveal your childhood trauma. And it's not, I obviously don't do that. Sometimes I'll ask people like and it's just like, they'll tell us. So a funny thing happened of all the people because we were in Germany, which was an amazing trip. And it was just like, we were so fortunate to have someone take us around who wants to remain anonymous. But anyhow, we were there, and of all the people that we were around, we met two guys from Mexico. They were literally from Mexico. We're like, Mexicans, no Mexicans. Cause he's like, are you guys Mexican? I don't know how it all started, but anyhow, he was like all, you know, they were like very excited because we were Mexican, you know? And I was like, oh, you know, asking him like, hey, what are you doing in Germany? Blah, blah, blah. And they were just telling me. So there were two best friends, and one of them, moved to Germany for work. And the other friend, I guess, also ended up getting a job in another town in Germany. And so one of the guys had a baby, and his friend had to come down to the town where he lives, where we were at for Oktoberfest. And anyways, so it's this whole long story. So afterwards, we were, hanging out with Frank, and then, our tour guide, his cousin. And he's like, "Oh yeah, the guy's from Mexico." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, so they're here because yada yada." He's like, "How did you know all that?" I'm like, "Because I asked them. Like, I've learned how to like just get to know people and not be afraid to, really like put myself out there." And I always tell Frank, like, I think that's the difference between us, is that I've learned how to create and maintain relationships with people. So I have a lot of friends. Like, they're not always hanging out. I mean, I have friends all over the damn place. Obviously, I had friends in Germany too. But it's just, for me, having relationships is really important, and making sure that, like, I'm with people that want to be around me is important. Yeah. So I think we've curated like this group of people who have access to us and our child in our lives. And it's people that are, yes, biologically related to both of us, who have supported our marriage, supported our lives. But also, there are people that we have met, and that are just good people. I mean, like, for example, Crystal and Merlin, like, we met them through you, but they're just people that have that like such wonderful energy that we have just really appreciated being around them. And like, those have become, good friends of ours. And, they're really good, close friends with you. And so I think that we've kind of begun to curate like our own little like community of folks. And I think it's hard because sometimes biological family feels like left out of that. But I think sometimes as we evolve and change, we have to have people in our lives that reflect that. And when you have people in your family that are like along for the ride, they're like, "You know what? I can vibe with this."
That's the thing though. Like, you got to be open-minded. You got to be able to be okay with being around new people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And that's what Susie always tells me. She's like, you're so different because you have so many friends. Like, a lot of, like, you have so many friends. She goes, a lot of the times, like, you put yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talk to people. Like, she's like, I mean, a lot of the invites that we had for the baby shower were a lot of my friends in my family. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and she had a lot of family too, a few coworkers and stuff like that. But she's like, it's just, when we were like, for example, talking about us getting married, you know what I'm saying? Like, my list was the biggest because to me, my friends are my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like you said right now, like, you guys met Crystal through me. I met Crystal through Mo. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because I didn't even meet Mo first. Like, the first one that met her was, I think, Liz and Susie. And I was the one that ended up staying really close to Mo and her family. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's because I kept in touch. No, because I kept in touch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would go with her everywhere. Like, like, and it's crazy because you have to be open minded. You have to be able to try new things. Go on different adventures. Not just stick to the same thing that we grew up with. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where I can see where Frank's coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, and I think that, like, how do we sort of begin to, change that? Because, like, I'll tell you, my parents were kind of forced to, they kind of had the same thing, but, were really forced to be like on their own as well. So like, we moved to Washington State. They didn't know anybody there. There was hardly any Mexican people. My mom said it was like the biggest culture shock of her life. Because I even remember growing up, my mom would be like bringing chorizo back from California because they did not have it there. I mean, now it's like full of Mexicans because we've totally moved up there. But, it was just a different, like, I remember we used to come to visit my grandparents in San Jose, and the first thing that we would ask for was pan dulce because there was no place to get it. And so, my parents really had to adapt and like learn how to make friends and like be, so, my parents kind of did create like the family, right? Your friends that are family. And, I think we've been really fortunate. Like one of my mom's closest friends, like we grew up with her. She's like an aunt to us, and her kids are like our cousins. And, so we're very fortunate to have like those kinds of relationships where my mom, has shown us how to maintain like these long-term relationships. My dad, my dad's antisocial. So, but I think too, like there's also a lesson to be said about, you mentioned this earlier, like sometimes we grow apart from people, and I think that's okay. Like, we just can evolve. But I think too, it's like, yeah, it's always a two-way street.
Yeah.
So if someone ain't putting the energy, I think I used to be like one of those people that would just really I would try so hard to keep people as friends because I just felt like I needed to do that. And now I'm like, peace. Like if I'm texting you, you're not texting me back, or I'm calling you to hang out and you don't have the time for it. Well, I've got that energy could be going to someone else. Like Benita.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to chase after people. Like, I really value my relationships. But the energy has to go both ways. And if not, then that's okay. Like maybe that person has grown in a different way and doesn't see me as part of their life anymore. And I'm totally fine with that. Like, that's all right. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not going to bend over backwards for people like I used to in the same way. Like the way I'm going to show up is I'm going to show up as myself, and I'm a nurturer. I'm a carer. I love to take care of people, but I am going to put boundaries around that now. I'm not going to be like, running myself ragged, trying to keep people in my life that clearly don't want to make the same effort. And that goes, I think, with family. And when it comes to the holidays, like if y'all ain't over here, asking how I'm doing the rest of the, 364 days, then I don't really need to spend that one day.
And then also
one day with you.
The holidays are special. I mean, at least we grew up like that. We grew up with the holidays being very special to us because of my grandma and my grandpa. So when it's the holidays, you want to feel happy inside in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like it gives me butterflies to think of Christmas at Lita's house. You know what I'm saying? Or Thanksgiving at Lita's house. So, I mean, like you want to be able to still feel that. You don't want anybody to ever make you feel different. And last year I felt different, you know what I'm saying? And it really, really sucked because I used to love going to my Lita's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that I don't love going there anymore, but it's just this time I went in with a big old knot in my tummy, and it shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? So if you are feeling that knot in your tummy, just don't even show. You know what I'm saying? That's my advice, because I had to learn the hard way last year. Like I came back with I had to literally, I got back to my house because that's where we were all hanging out with my wife's family. And like, I literally went to the restroom and had to like kind of, you know,
regulate yourself.
Yeah, like I kind of had to get myself back together and be like, because my eyes were like watery and stuff like that. But I had to go back to the restroom and I had to like kind of just like tell myself like, chill, like you're fine, you're not there anymore. You know, like it is what it is. And then once I felt better, I went outside. And my advice to you, to this person who reached out to me, is if you're going to feel the way that I felt last year, then don't even show up. That is what I think. Don't even show up. Don't even show up, because it's going to ruin your night. Thankfully for me, my wife's family, like I've said many times, makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel loved. They've always shown me so much love from the start. You know what I'm saying? So for me, what helped me was going back out to where we're all hanging out, and they flipped the switch for me. Like they turned it around for me. I felt so much better being around them. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have that, then I would say stay home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or have an exit plan. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to stay for 2 hours. And if somebody says the wrong thing to me, and I feel like I'm going to get dysregulated, then maybe I need to like leave and go home, or, maybe I need to smoke some weed before I go.
No,
Just
not
kidding.
you. Because when you smoke weed, you fucking
Just kidding.
You fucking have everybody thinking you're mad at them. When she smokes weed, depending on, I'm assuming what type of weed you're smoking, but the one time I have to share this story. One time, what did you do? You didn't edible?
Oh my gosh. We had get visitors who wanted me to try
No.
one. And I don't, okay, first of all, I do not do this on the regular, but I tried it and I was literally like,
It was.
it was like I was trying to X over and it just backfired.
It was horrible. So what did we come for? To have dinner with you guys, right?
No, you
Well, what did we
came
get? To pick up something.
we were exchanging Christmas gifts. It was actually around the holidays.
It was around the holidays because you actually had cookies and stuff like that for us. So we came over, we exchanged gifts, and the whole time we're here, literally in chat, what do you call it? Chatter Cathy or whatever the hell people call it?
Chatty Cathy.
Yeah. Over here, always talking, always laughing, like, blah, 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 no le para el perico, right? And the day we came, it was like, literally was just like quiet. And I remember me and Susie kept looking at each other like, maybe, like, I was thinking maybe her and Frank got in a fight and we just walked in on the fight. But you also saw Frank's face kind of like, what the fuck? Like, kind of looking around. And then we went from the table to go sit in the living room, and Lydia was quiet, not one word, maybe just like, oh yeah. And usually Frank's the, oh really? And Lydia was just kind of like, oh yeah, like quiet. And me and Susie were kind of like, Susie kind of like pinched my thigh, and I was like, all right, well, we're gonna go, guys, because we're gonna go. It's already late. When we're driving home, me and Susie are literally like quiet in the beginning, and then we look at each other and we're like, dude, was Lydia mad? Like, Lydia looked mad. Like, I think maybe her and Frank got in a fight. Or maybe one of us said something she didn't like. And then later on, we fucking call her out on it, and she's like, dude, I was high.
Which is why I don't do that. But I think I was like, oh man, I'm like really messed up. And I was just trying to be in the moment, and it just backfired big time.
And it was funny because I ended up reaching out to Frank, and I asked Frank, like, is Lydia okay? And he's like, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know if I said something. I don't know if she's mad at me. Poor guy. And then later on, she ends up telling all freaking, the four of us were sitting down and we're talking, and Lydia's like,
and he was there. He was there, so he should have known, but he was too, so who knows? He probably forgot. But yeah, so anyhow, life lesson. I was like, I don't do that on the regular, man.
Life lesson, never to smoke with Lydia.
Oh geez, it was not good. But yeah, but I think, definitely if the vibes are off, you definitely should. And, I know it's easy to say like, don't go. And some people still feel very obligated because I think it just ties into everyone wants their family to love them and accept them. And we do things because we don't want to get them upset with us even more if there's already tension. So we'll go and do stuff and we'll show up and we'll show face. But I think at the end of the day, you really have to be like, why am I here if I'm not really wanted or accepted for who I am? And I mean, we're there now. We have no choice, but I'm probably there more than Frank is. But I'm basically like, listen, if y'all don't like me, what does Dr. Dre say? If y'all don't like me, blow me. But, it's basically like, I just am done, I'm just completely done. And
I think that's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, after so long, like your heart can only take so much, and as a person, a human can only take so much.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where when you're done, you're just done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, I can't say it enough. If you feel lost, if you feel like you got a lot of trauma, like you got to go to therapy. It's like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, and it's helped me because look at me now. Like now I don't give a shit about relationships that I don't have anymore. Because I know that I did nothing wrong in some of those relationships, and some of them I did do something wrong, and I own up to whatever I did. But right now, like, I feel so at peace. Like I even told Susie even feels at peace. Susie's always like, I feel so at peace. Like I feel like right now we're like on cloud nine with this whole baby thing. You know, we waited so long for this to happen that nothing is gonna kill our vibe right now. Nothing at all. Like we're like so excited, like that nothing is gonna ruin that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so advice to that person, and thank you for giving us this topic because it was a really good topic.
Yeah, very timely too.
Yeah,
with the holidays coming up.
But like I said, the holidays should be special. You know what I'm saying? And if you're gonna feel some type of way, then don't show up.
Yeah.
Or show up for an hour and a half, or just go eat and then leave.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to do what you got to do because you know it's like it's not easy. There's you a lot of times, especially if you have a larger family, you're dealing with so many different personalities, and sometimes it can be a lot and you just have to figure out your own way to cope. So, if you're in a situation where maybe you have to be there for a few hours, you can go outside, maybe you could take a walk in between, things, or it might be a good time to say, I got to go to the store. I think I need some more wine.
You don't come back.
Well, don't drive drunk, please. But, or just, get yourself little breaks if you need to, because number one, your mental health is extremely important. We're just coming off Mental Health Day, and I think that it's important for people to really take care of themselves and not torture yourself for your family's approval if you have a lot of like those things going on. And I think the second thing is, really make sure that you feel prepared to go. And so I think I'm going to on our social media post a few helpful posts about how to regulate your body, because physically we feel it. Like you were mentioning this, right? You were mentioning that you felt like you had like a knot in your stomach, and I definitely, if I know someone that I don't want to see is going to be somewhere, I can feel my body like literally dysregulating at the thought of it. And that is, I start to get so anxious, like any little thing sets me off. I'm like, motherfuckers, and so I've learned a couple of good techniques that I'll share on our social media, because I think it's really important to be able to have those tools. But definitely, I think if this is an ongoing issue and you're still going to have to see your family members, I really highly suggest therapy. And therapy as a way for you to process and get tools, but also, giving yourself the permission to deal with your time with them how you see fit, and that is best and optimal for your mental health.
Or read books, like the books that you mentioned to us. Like they're really good. They're very helpful as well.
Yeah. So one of the books that we talked about in the very beginning, Nidra Tawwab, has a couple of really, really good books that I highly recommend. I have both of them, and I'll also link those in our bio. But yeah, I mean, it's all about taking care of your mental health. The holidays are hard. There's so much out there that's like family, family, family. And you're like, okay. And, family could even be friends. Like, I don't know how many times my family has had some random person, like one of my sister's friends who doesn't have a family in the area, or like one of my dad's friends came. We always had random people because my parents always opened their home to people, and they continue to do that, And so sometimes if someone extends that to you, you could actually have the best time of your life. I know that there have been some people that did not have Thanksgiving or Christmas plans end up coming to our house and probably having the best time of their lives.
I believe it.
With my crazy ass sisters and their karaoke.
Lynette.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lynette.
She probably doesn't even listen.
She's funny.
But yeah, so anyhow, well, that was a great topic. So thank you to our loyal listener. We really appreciate you asking the question. And definitely, I know we have some other topics that we've kind of planned out that we pushed back a little bit because we felt like, gosh, this one actually is really good. Yeah. But we appreciate all of the wonderful comments and messages we get. And of course, the people who are listening.
That continue to listen and continue to show love and support.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a good amount of listeners, not enough to stay home from work.
not it just trips me out because I see all the viewers, all the likes and stuff like that, but no one, like the followers, like
please,
come on, dude.
Please leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you don't want to leave us 5 stars, then just don't leave us anything, please.
or talk to your friends about us. You know what I'm saying? Like there's trauma everywhere.
There is, and we're definitely
there's healing everywhere.
Well, we definitely we love to talk about like these things to normalize them because it can feel very lonely.
Yeah.
Because I think what really sucks is that people will put out stuff like, oh, my best friend, my sister. Well, my sister is not my best friend. Sorry, no tea, no shade to my sisters. But, but it's to normalize, like, there are probably a lot more people who are going to be feeling stressed before the holidays because they know it's going to be stressful or they don't have the relationships they wish they had. And I think by us talking about it, we're normalizing it. Like, you are not the only ones who are going through this, and hopefully some of the tips that we share can be helpful to get through that time. And I guess there's a lot of fucked up families out there.
And if there's other topics you want us to talk about, shoot them our way.
Yeah. So anyhow, well, thank you for listening today. And we hope to, get some good reviews on Apple Podcasts, but please follow us on our social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, and
YouTube.
Subscribe, like, and share. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.
And we will see you next week.